Oh my god, Gale.
Oh my god, Gale.
Like the bomb law, Gale? Really? You thought that was a good idea?
The odds aren't in her favour.
Everyone around him is going to steal his woman.
But that's not his woman.
2 raging book nerds, 14 years of friendship, and 1 burning question.
If Katniss Everdeen posted on Reddit, would she be the arsehole?
Welcome to Once Upon a Red Flag. This season, we're stepping into Panem, where every tribute, tyrant, and mentor gets their day in the Am I the Asshole courtroom.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Rachel.
And join us while we read between the red flags and break down the Hunger Games, one questionable decision at a time. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 16 of Once Upon a Red Flag. How have we done this many episodes?
I don't know.
Wild.
How have we got there? How have we got there? I'm also going to apologise because I'm aware in advance that I have a chair this time. It's taken 16 episodes to get me a desk and a chair, and I am sat on it. However, it's a spinny chair. So if you're watching the video... you're used to seeing me shuffle about because my butt's going numb on the floor. Now you're going to see me swivel. You're going to see me swivel a lot. I'm sorry. If you see a lot of jump cuts, you'll know why.
Anyway, do we have an icebreaker for this episode, Rachel?
We do, because this is the final episode of Mockingjay, which it is. It's madness, which means it's the final episode of the main trilogy before we move on to the prequels. And I don't want to make you cry again, but we are going to talk about Prim dying, because that's going to have to come up. So for now, I'm going to sort of like make light of the situation a little bit, so that you don't cry again, basically. But it's sort of indirectly due to Gale, or like he didn't pull the trigger, but it's kind of Gale. So you could say, because obviously we're going to be talking about Katniss and Gale and Katniss and Peeta in this episode, you kind of could say that effectively Gale kind of gave Katniss the ick with the whole I killed your sister thing, because at that point there's no confusion anymore, is there? That's gone. No. That's over. Yeah. It's all finished. She definitely probably got the ick from that, and that is putting it very, very lightly. Yeah. But my question for you, obviously he pulls the whole "woe is me, you'll never choose me now" act, which might be more of the ick. And my question to you is, what's the biggest or weirdest ick that you have experienced? Because obviously saying Gale, "Oh, I killed your sister, but you'll never pick me now," calling it an ick is accurate, but also
downplaying
very,
it massively.
Yeah. And it's probably like the worst ick what someone could ever experience. It's not like he wears skinny jeans or the guy puts his socks on after he puts his pants. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like something random, like the way he pronounces hippopotamus or something. Yogurt. I don't know.
Yeah.
You say, "Oh, yogurt"?
Yeah.
Is it like yogurt? Kind of like yogurt? Like,
there are some people that say it really weird, and it just gives me the ick. That's not my answer to this question. I'm putting it out there if anybody feels to say it.
I haven't met one of these people, but correct. I almost said the word correct pronunciation and mispronounced correct. Correct pronunciation is a bother for me. But obviously, massive ick. Gale is the worst thing you could ever experience. Yes, murder. Murder is my ick. What's yours? Weirdest, biggest, most dramatic?
I think the weirdest ick I've experienced at dating when I was at uni, and I say it's weird because it's just really left field. Okay. And this person was lovely, and I mean no ill to people who like this TV show.
Okay.
But I hadn't watched Schitt's Creek before.
Okay.
Do you know Schitt's Creek? And it's a good...
I haven't watched Schitt's Creek, but I know enough about it.
And I hadn't watched it before, and it was her favourite TV show. Now, okay, bear in mind, I work in film and TV. I watch a lot of film and TV. I make a lot of film and TV. So it's just some things I don't really get on board with. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'll watch it with you." And then I watched it, and I hated it. Sorry. To anybody who loves Schitt's Creek, fine, that's what you like. I just didn't find it that funny, and it just then and there just gave me the ick.
You're just like, this is what your taste is. and I can't get
This is
involved
your
with that.
favorite. If this is your favorite TV show, I think we need to, reevaluate the situation.
So if she'd said, I like it, it's my current sort of like obsession, it's not my favorite of all time, would that have been okay?
It probably would
Would that have been
lessen the
better?
blow. Yeah, it would have made it less
But you're
icky.
still like,
But yeah,
still,
I think 'cause it
no.
was the favorite TV show, I was like, this isn't gonna work.
I haven't watched Schitt's Creek, though I do remember chatting to a guy when I was at uni who loved Schitt's Creek. When I say chatting, I mean we matched on Tinder, had a conversation for 2 days that fizzled out.
As you
Like
do.
most Tinder matches, or immediate explicit images. It's one of the two, let's be honest. But that's not my biggest ick. My biggest ick, though actually, yeah, an unsolicited dick pic probably is a big ick. No, my biggest ick, and I never matched with these people who had this in their bio. This was a university one again.
Okay.
But the second I saw this in someone's bio, I was like, nope, not happening. Never.
What was it?
So I need to tell you a bit of a story.
Okay, this is Rachel's story time.
Rachel's story time. Okay. When I was at university, your university had one as well. I came to your university to see one. We had a Panto Society, and I was part of that. And there was also at my university a medics Panto. So this was like, so basically it was a lot of like the medicine students like blew off steam by putting on their own silly little panto.
It's like High School Musical.
Not a bad thing. Yeah, like they was like blowing off steam. You're like, you know what? Like, let's just do something a bit funny on a whim. And like tons of them got involved. They had a much bigger cast than we ever had. And we went to see it because obviously we were like, you know what? There was always this big rivalry between the two. Like, we'll go and support them. But for some reason, not entirely sure why, not entirely sure how it happens, but every year there happens to be a mass streak, a mass nudity set. Somehow they work full frontal nudity practically.
Okay.
I think it's a bit more like full Monty Calendar girls hide the good stuff. But they work being fully nude on stage into the panto.
Interesting.
And I was like, I don't understand this. I don't get it. Imagine you go to university and you go and watch Medics Panto, and then 10 years down the line, you walk into your doctor's office and that's the guy you saw naked on stage. That's just going to be a bit weird. So, and I couldn't gather why people would want to do this. And it was mainly men. It was mainly all these like half drunk, effectively like the UK version of a frat boy, to be look at my hot body. And so every time someone put they were studying medicine in their bio at my university, I just went, nope. Because in my head now, you have associated studying medicine at this university to having been naked on stage for no apparent reason, and I could never figure out how it, like, there are people who will have seen this, and if those people find this podcast, let me know, because I seem to have blacked out the whole situation. Did it make any sense? Did it make any sense to have the nudity? Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you're gonna say, "Oh, sorry, officer, someone stole my clothes," but no, just like 20, 30 odd drunken teenage guys, 18, 19, naked on stage, not into it. And so now I associate studying medicine at my university with having you wang out in front of about 500 people.
That must make going to the doctor or the hospital interesting.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Oh, where did you study? And it's my uni. And all of a sudden you're like, hang on a minute, were you in Medics Panto? Have I seen you naked?
God.
Yeah. It's a bit much, innit? So I was like, nope, ick, not happening. Never, not even going to go anywhere near you. I was like, oh, he's hot. He's a medic. Nah, I'm good, thanks.
Oh, that's kind of sad though, because thankfully, you're engaged now, so you kind of
I'm in a happy relationship.
Yeah, but like if you hadn't have been, you would have like completely written off like a whole big subgroup of people.
Like, yeah, and also at the same time, probably like the most like sought after guys as well. Like if we're gonna go down the whole like stereotypical, he can look after me, he's got money, he's a good guy, going into medicine for the right reasons. Particularly if you go and work at a private hospital rather than like, and even if you're going off like crappy NHS wages that I know people are like up in arms over and have been for years, it's still to be like, oh, you're dating a doctor, you've got a good one, he's made his life about looking after all his people. And I know people who are with doctors who are very, very happy with their relationships, and those guys I did not see naked, and that is fine. However,
and that's the difference.
And that's the difference.
Okay, moving on from this icebreaker, which is definitely taken kind of just like a completely left field, we're going to get into the post of today, Rachel.
We are.
So the post, the username for this week is username Girl on Fire, with tons of ones on that and zeros, of course.
That's a classic. We're talking early 2010s, I think. You're telling me that you didn't replace like every single vowel in your name with the number. What is wrong with you? It's how we rolled.
So Katniss is asking this week, am I the asshole for following my heart? Okay. So I survived 2 Hunger Games, a rebellion, and a war that destroyed the majority of what I knew. I've lost family, friends, and purpose. Well, that just sounds really depressing. For years, my life wasn't my own. I volunteered to save my sister. I faked a romance to survive. I became a symbol for people because I knew they needed me to become one. Every decision I made was about keeping someone alive. Prim, my mother, Gale, and his family, Peeta, sometimes entire districts. And then I was asked to choose between 2 guys, when I never planned on loving anyone. One of my best friends, I grew up hunting with him, trying to feed our families by breaking laws together. I thought we understood each other, but then he went too far in his rage against the nation. The other guy once saved my life when I was starving. He was going through the trauma of the games alongside me, and he had feelings for me long before I decided to fake my own feelings in return for survival. The war...
Make that one.
The war and the tactics employed on both sides changed all of us, sometimes beyond recognition. Some lines, once crossed, can't be uncrossed. And some choices were then made for me. One of them walked away, and I didn't fight harder to get him to stay. One came home with me and stayed by my side in any capacity I would allow. When we finally got together, it felt like an inevitability. Sorry, I'm so dyslexic. Inevitability. A decision I would have always come to given enough time, but maybe I could have reached that conclusion sooner. Sometimes I wonder if that was selfish. If this is where I was always going to end up, then why put everyone through hell to get there? The love of my life is not a consolation prize because the other guy dropped out. But that other guy once said I would choose the person that I couldn't survive without. And clearly I can survive without him. So it turns out he was right. I have a good life now, free from the terror that the country forced me and everyone else into. I'm not just surviving, I'm living a good life. I have a husband and children, but I put someone I love through a lot for me to get there. So, am I the arsehole?
It's heavy.
Yeah.
Shall we go back to the naked medics on stage?
That was easier. Talk about that. That's just going to be easier to talk about. This is quite heavy.
If that was her biggest problem, I think Katniss would be winning.
I think we would have a series to talk about if that was her biggest problem.
Katniss's biggest problem. There's a guy naked, now he's my doctor. What do I do?
I think
that is the start of
preferred to take. Yeah, I think she much would have preferred to have taken that problem than the trillion amounts of traumas that we have spoken about in the last 16 episodes. But
the thousands upon thousands of people who are dead, that one.
Exactly. Shall we just jump into it, Rachel?
Let's get in. Let's just dive right in there. It's the last one of the main series.
That's wild.
It's not put it off any longer. Let's figure out who she should have picked.
Okay, it's literally going to come as no surprise to anybody listening to this podcast or yourself, Rachel, that I am a big hashtag Gale hater. Not girl hater. Gale hater.
Girl hater. It's the exact opposite.
I know. Even though I am really proud of myself for how I've offered Gale some benefit of the doubt throughout this process in this series, but at the end of the day, Peeta, our baker boy Peeta, was always the man Katniss is meant to end up with. So I could probably answer this question Katniss is asking like right now, but I'm not going to. We're going to talk it all through first, like adults.
Yeah, you're showing more restraint than I have in my entire body.
Okay.
No, Katniss, you're not the asshole. You were a little mixed up there in the middle, like, but you got it right in the end. Do you know what I mean? Like, Gale killed your sister.
True.
He dropped his act in caring about you the second that happened. Like, and that is what it was. It was an act. He never loved her. But I guess we've got to talk about it. You know, I guess we have to talk about it.
We kind of do. That's kind of what we're here for. That's kind of what everyone is here for. So I think we've spoken about this before in our previous Gale and Peeta episode, I think in Catching Fire, about the way both Gale and Peeta talk about their feelings for Katniss, and it really says everything you need to know. But I am going to repeat it again for the sake of this being our very last Gale and Peeta episode. That makes me really sad. But when Gale is describing the moment Katniss becomes so important to him, he says it was 6 months before the reaping. And they were at Greasy Say's store in the Hop. Darius was making fun of Katniss, saying he would trade something for a kiss from her, and Gale just says he minded. Like, he didn't like Katniss being teased like this. So, first of all, this is not about love. This is purely about possession and jealousy. Like, he only realized he supposedly loved her because his control over her was threatened. And obviously, Peeta knows he loves Katniss from the very first moment that he saw her, and he can remember the moment precisely down to what Katniss was wearing, with like the dress and the pigtails. Gale remembers his realization in sort of broad strokes, approximations of what that moment was. So I think that's very telling. Peeta describes in detail how the teacher asked if someone knew the Valley song, and how Katniss's hand shot right up, and that all the Mockingjays stopped singing to listen to her sing. It's such a beautiful moment for him to remember so precisely. How lovely that he fell in love with her when he first saw her, and how excited she was to sing something that obviously she knew, and I think that her dad had probably taught her. And he fell in love with her at such a simple time and a simple act. It had nothing to do with possession or want or jealousy. It was just Katniss being Katniss. And that's what love is. Not this twisted version Gale has in his mind.
Yeah, and what does the word minded even mean, Gale?
Yeah, I know.
What I minded that he was flirting with you. What does that mean? Give me some more context to the situation, because you could mind that someone was flirting with your little sister right in front of you, you know? And this is just one of the differences between the two boys as well. Because they're complete opposites in most ways. I guess one way in which they are similar, I suppose, is how they both helped her to survive and hunt and feed herself. Because obviously Gale with the actual hunting in District 12, and then you've got Peeta with the bread, but also you've got Peeta foraging for food with her in the games, in the arenas, while she goes off to hunt. And in most ways, there is kind of a clear Gale versus Peeta opposition going on, and not just with who Katniss ends up choosing, but also in terms of their personalities. So I kind of wanted to tally their similarities and differences.
Okay.
We were at the end of Mockingjay now, but I've been keeping a list since the start of the first book.
Of course, of course, yeah.
It's a long list, and we 100% just do not have time to go through everything that I pulled out, but I wanted to list a few of them, and in my notes I may have ended up listing more than I originally intended. So Katie, sit back, relax, I'm going to rant at you for a bit. So obviously we're going to start off with the classic good boy versus bad boy trope that we've got going on here, because you have the different sides of the district. You've got Seam versus Merchant, but it's not really about their class in that way. And they're living circumstances, even though it is the most obvious thing about them. But Seam does not equal bad, clearly. Katniss's Seam, Prim's Seam, all of Gale's family is less toxic than Gale is, and they are also all Seam. But Gale's politics and how he chooses to go about that throughout the book, like his ranting, his raving, his violent tendencies, that's the bad boy side of things, right? He is a danger to himself and other people. The one thing he is missing is a motorbike and a helmet. Like, let's be honest, and some leather. I don't like. He would be the classic bad boy trope.
Yeah.
Peeta, on the other hand, like, he clearly sees the horrors for what they are, but like he's not oblivious to it all, but he's not willing to risk people's lives the same way Gale is. Like, he isn't willing to risk his loved ones the same way that Gale is willing to risk the lives of Katniss and a lot of people who were the rebels. But it's also a case of old versus new trauma bonds. Because Katniss and Gale were in a very shitty situation together, trying to keep their entire families alive when they were like literally children. And Katniss herself, at the start of the series, calls Gale like the only person she could be herself with. Because at the time, he was the one who understood her struggles. He was the only person who was also hunting, setting snares, catching wild game to feed a family of multiple people while still being a teenager, and Katniss is like preteen at this point. But then he stops being that when Katniss goes into the games. Gale used to hunt with Katniss, but Peeta and Katniss together became the hunted. And Gale chose like not to learn and accept and sympathize with any of that experience at all, and all the trauma that Katniss went through with that. And so obviously, like, Peeta rapidly became the person who understood Katniss the best, because the changes that you go through with that turn Katniss into a completely different person. But most importantly, Peeta loved Katniss before the trauma bonded them together.
Yeah.
Peeta was in love with her before they went into the games. Gale, you can argue he was, but he only dates that after the games. And he only knew her because of the difficulties they had together as well. So I often wonder if Gale's confusing that bond that they've got, because they just are the same person in some ways, as being love. And I think from previous episodes as well, because obviously Peeta loved Katniss before their shared trauma. I think we've also established that Katniss wasn't oblivious to Peeta before the shared trauma either. So it's not even like Katniss is bonded to Peeta because of that trauma, and that's where her love stems from. It doesn't. It's before that as well. I have more, but I'm going to sort of like rapid fire some of these off at you, because there's so many good ones. There's so many good ones. That will be here all frickin' day. So Gale and Katniss have the same skills, but Peeta's skills actually complement Katniss's better. So Gale and Katniss do all the hunting together. They kill and sort of destroy effectively. But Peeta does the cooking. He basically but he's also like an artist and makes beauty out of nothing, whereas Gale like basically clearly destroys whatever he touches. Before like Peeta enters the arena, like he's trying his hardest to find a way to maintain his identity. He says like he doesn't want the Capitol to turn him into a monster when he's about to die, because he's being shoved into a game where he's going to have to kill. But doesn't Gale turn into the monster instead? Doesn't he let the Capitol turn him into a monster when he decides he's going to fight fire with fire and use the same Capitol rulebook? Like the bomb law, Gale? Really? You thought that was a good idea? Of course you let the Capitol dictate who you're going to be at that point. You've also got to bear in mind that Katniss tries to protect Gale when he's whipped, and then Peeta steps in there to help protect Katniss, and then by extension, help protect Gale. And Katniss, and even Haymitch, I guess, from the new head peacekeeper. Do we expect Gale to have done that if it was the other way around? Really? No. Gale would not have been able to do that.
Yeah, I think for that question, like, it really differs if you're taking into account like book Gale or movie Gale, because I think they paint
book Gale, original Gale.
Yeah, they paint movie Gale as someone as he probably would, but I don't think book Gale would have done. No.
But Gale would have been like, nah, mate, not getting involved with that. Let him get whipped. He'd have been pulling Katniss back. He wouldn't have been stepping up there with her. He'd have been like, what are you doing, love? Get out of here. Like I say, there is more, and we would be here all day. So, like, I'm going to end this section here on something that I have mentioned before, and we'll keep saying again and again and again. Peeta tells Katniss how he feels before they go into the arena. Gale keeps quiet and tells Katniss after the fact, like, that he liked her, and so no, that he minded. That he minded, I think, is on that point. At any point in the books, does Gale say the words "I like you"?
No, I don't think he does.
I don't think he does. He just says he minded. He thinks things selfish, and that Katniss will never choose him over Peeta. And I'm
I think
like,
it's like heavily implied, but I think a lot of the language he uses is more like minded, or like you won't choose me, or you only kiss me when I'm sad. Like it's all very like toxic and possessive language. I don't think he actually ever outrightly says like I like you, I love you, all this sort of
never a
stuff.
confession of feelings, is it?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
interesting.
toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he keeps quiet about how he supposedly minded that she was being flirted with, and then tells her, like, after she comes back, Peeta would rather be shot down by Katniss than die with regrets having not told her, whereas Gale would rather shoot people down instead and never confess to a girl that he supposedly loves, because, like, to do so doesn't really serve any purpose to him if she's not coming home. Like, well, if she ain't gonna come back, what was the point of telling her? Because it wasn't going to get him anything. Whereas Peter's very much like, you know what? She deserves to know. I deserve to be able to tell her about it. Yes, it's on national TV. Yes, it has another purpose. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's also going, you know what? Yeah, she deserves to know. It's my last chance. My last shot. Let's do it. And then Peeta would rather die in Katniss's place if it means that she can live her life and be happy, even if that means it is with someone else. He cares more about her happiness than his own life. Whereas Gale would rather cause the deaths of others actively and then leave Katniss to deal with the loss. And that is something, that loss we'll be bringing up again in this episode. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Like, it's really bad. I'm kind of lost for words.
Like, when you lay it all out, that's like the first two books worth of like context before we get to this point, before we get to Mockingjay, and you go, really, like, if you look at it out of context in that way and take it away from the whole like war situation and confusing her more, it's still bad. It's still really, really bad. Like, if you could just smack Katniss around the head with like a stick of truth or something to be like, boom, come on, knock some sense into you. Can you see this objectively? This is horrific. This is horrible. So I feel like we're caught up now. Are we caught up enough now? Do we know where we're going forward in this? Like, we've got all of the backstory of the love triangle out the way. Like, at least we've made it very, very clear that Gale was a horrible, horrible, horrible choice from the very start, way back when. And now we could probably just dive into how much worse he actually gets in Mockingjay. Yeah.
So Gale is just like an ongoing red flag. Like, if we go back to what Gale said about Darius and when his feelings supposedly started, he literally does the same thing in District 13 and gets jealous over Finnick. Like,
Finnick, Finnick, who is pining over Annie and Annie's loss.
I know. Like, he's just staring at them talking together because, once again, they understand each other on a different level, with them both being victors and having survived 2 Hunger Games arenas. Their initial arena and then obviously the Court to Quell. And Katniss feels like she is getting judged by Gale because he thinks something is happening between them. And I think she literally says in her head, like, what now? Like, it was like a what now reaction to his behavior. And her reaction is totally warranted because Gale was thinking exactly that. Like, he brings it up later. Like, that's exactly what he was thinking. That there was something going on between them and that Katniss liked him too. And I just, Gale, why? Why? Why?
I know you've brought up before that, like, Gale might lack confidence.
Yeah.
Like, he might be, like, deeply insecure, and I
Mhm.
guess, like, this to me really highlights that potential idea because God forbid a woman talks to another man all friendly and happy.
Mm.
God forbid a woman has a conversation with a man. She must be into him. She
Mhm.
must be. There's nothing else that could possibly go on. Of course, men and women can't be friends.
Mhm.
Fuck off, Gale. Jesus Christ. That sarcasm for anyone who didn't get that heavily laced in my voice. That was sarcasm. Like, and I do think maybe you're onto something with him being like so deeply insecure that he's like scared of like Finnick taking his woman now and Peeta and Darius and probably
Mhm.
whoever else is looking at her all like that's the girl. Like any sort of admiration or pride or, just like that's the Mockingjay. Cool, good on
Mhm.
her. Like
Mhm.
he must be so like fearful that everyone around him is gonna steal his woman. Um
But that's not his woman. Oh my god,
it's not
sorry.
his woman.
That came out like really left field. Carry on.
But then, like, Gale truly knows where he stands with Katniss then. If this is the behaviour that he's got, he 100% knows where he stands with Katniss. Because at the
Mhm.
start of Mockingjay, Katniss is holding Gale's hand. And she says that they're both like holding fast to a part of 12 that Snow has somehow failed to destroy. And I wonder, like, if we take the potential romance out of the sentence and remove like the poetry and the idea of like their friendship surviving and the rebellion surviving and all this stuff, if we just
Mhm.
look at that on a very, very basic level, is that all Gale is? Is that all he is? Is he just her reminder of 12? Because she's gone back and she's visited 12 and there's nothing left. Just the people and Buttercup the cat who was eating things
Mhm.
we don't want to talk about. Gale and then like Gale attributes the reason for Katniss returns 12 to like picking up Buttercup the cat. And like
Mhm.
she didn't go back for the cat. Not the reason,
Mhm.
Gale. Not the reason. You
Mhm.
just don't understand her. So does he know this? Is he aware that the only reason Katniss has kept him around is because they are similar in some way and now he is a comfort to her old life?
Think
Does he know?
Gale obviously has issues with understanding other people's reasoning, though. Like, he's an
Mm.
even bigger red flag when he asks Katniss why she cares so much about her prep team. Like,
Ooh,
so obviously
yeah.
in Mockingjay, like they go down to what I imagine is like the cells, like the prison area, and they obviously find
Yeah.
the prep team. And they have literally been chained up in cells and starved and abused. And these words literally come out of his mouth. Like that's literally what he says. It's ridiculous. Like, why do you care about them? Like that's literally what he says. Like, regardless of them being capital and regardless of Katniss even knowing them, they are still human beings. Like these are still people. And all they did was to try and make Katniss look pretty. Like, Gale would really just kill anybody that he deems isn't worthy. And to him, that's anybody from the capital. Whereas Peeta is like the complete opposite. Like, even in the games, faced with careers who would actively wanted to kill him for fun. Like,
Yeah.
he still didn't want them dead. And I think Gale would have honestly had a field day and made himself feel like a real man. And if you're not on YouTube, I'm using air quotes.
Yeah, but also, like, that is 100% what Gale would say.
Mhm.
Gale would be like, look at Peter, he's just a boy. I'm a real man. Like, he would. He's one of them. And also,
Mhm.
going past Icebreaker, that's a big ick. If you have to clarify that you're a real man, my head is going to go, no, pop it little boy up, Pinocchio. That's how it feels. I'm a
Yeah.
real boy.
I'm a real boy. No, you're not, Gale. Shut up.
No, you're not. I'm down, love. No, go sit in the corner. I'll come to you when you're needed. Because he has like he has this souped up idea that he has authority. He has this jumped up idea that
Mm,
he is like the big cheese, I guess.
mm,
And you're
yeah,
like, no, Gale, you're a puppet. You
basically.
just
It's sad,
yeah.
really. Yeah, but yeah.
Gale has just no idea what being a man actually is. Like
Mhm.
he's a violent little rebel boy. And like what hammers this home to me is when Katniss is so happy to have her Gale back. So like she says without the pressure of like the arranged marriage that she had with Peter, like her and Gale are back to being friends and like not pushing their relationship further. They're not talking about love. He's not kissing her. They are just back to normal. And there's a direct quote from Katniss here where she says, either I've been too sick, or he's willing to give me space, or he knows it's just too cruel with Peeta in the hands of the Capitol. No, nope, not the reason.
Yeah.
Peeta is in the hands of the Capitol, and Gale doesn't expect Katniss to get him back.
Yeah.
So now he can relax and chill out and stop forcing his feelings in air quotes again, on Katniss, because he has no competition anymore. At least when he's not counting Finnick as competition, you know?
Or
he has
every
no
other guy that she speaks to.
probably yes. I think if Haymitch was younger, Haymitch would also be competition. Like, imagine if Haymitch wasn't in the wasn't in the second quarter. Haymitch was in like
a couple years
the 70th games and won that, and now Haymitch is like a 20-year-old man, 22-year-old. Haymitch would be a danger as well. How bad is that?
I want to go back, and I hate to talk about stuff like this, but I want to go back to when he goes back to kissing her. And she says he tastes of heat, ashes, and mystery. I'm sorry, what the hell? Like, how disgusting is that description? Like, that's literally the ashes of dead people. Like, dead people. And then he pulls away and gives her like this like wry smile and says, I know you would kiss me because I was in pain. That's the only way I can get your attention. Like, every time I read that, I'm just speechless. Like, how manipulative is that? Like, if you have to manipulate someone into kissing you, or even be manipulated into kissing someone, you really shouldn't be kissing said someone. Like, it's such a horrid move on Gale's part, to the point
like Katniss,
where, I don't know what to say.
So Katniss like lets herself be manipulated. This is the scene in 12, right? They go back to 12 for the second time, and they do these little like propos shots in there, and they sneak off and go into like the Victor's house, and I think they're reminiscing or something, isn't it? Like about how she kissed him after he got whipped or something like that, and then she tries to like prove to him and prove to herself that it's not just when he's sad and in pain that she kisses him, and so she kisses him again, and you're just like, girl, get a grip, stop it, you fell right for that one, you went right into that trap, didn't you?
And then again, like, talking about kissing Gale, like, generally why there's so many of these moments.
Can we
stop? like Katniss kisses Gale because she thinks it doesn't matter. Like, her plan at this point is to go to the Capitol and kill Snow and probably get killed in the process. So in like the grand scheme of things, like, it's not going to bite her in the ass that much. But she kisses him because she is so desperately lonely, which is so not a good reason to start kissing anybody, especially not Gale. But it's also exactly what this manipulator wants. Like, he only seems happy when Katniss seems weaker or more fragile than he is. And then in his typical like red flag style, he says, it's like kissing someone who is drunk. It doesn't count. What the hell, Gale? Like, it does count when you kiss someone who is drunk. It's just not fully consensual. Like, his views are pretty messed up. And I am worried about the type of people who find this type of behaviour attractive.
Those kissing, that's fair. Both of those kissing scenes make me so uncomfortable. It's like she kisses him in 12, and then like she runs off to 2 after like Peeta comes back because there's no saving Peeta, and she goes and kisses Gale again, and I'm like, girl, have you not learned your lesson? Can we stop? Can we please stop? And it's so obvious that she doesn't care about Gale like that at all. She's like listing her demands from President Coin, and like she adds Gale as like almost an afterthought. Like she lists the cat, the ability to hunt, Peter's immunity being announced in public, like along with the other victors and Annie, and then she adds Gale because he's stood right over her shoulder, and she turns around and goes, "Oh, probably should add him as well." And I'm like, if he's an afterthought, he's not really a priority, love, is he? And then she literally also says her and Gale have been bonded by a mutual need for years, and that mutual need is melting away, and so she feels like she's losing him. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, if that is all that has bonded you for years, then it wasn't a very strong bond, was
Mhm.
it? It was just the fact that you needed him. It wasn't based on any real substance in the first place. So, like, I do wonder if Gale feels that as well, and that's why he attempts, like, all this manipulation to, like, hold onto her tighter. Because
Mhm.
even if this scene, like, before she kisses Gale, like she says in that moment, like, when she's kissing him, she says she accepts that Peter's never coming back to her. She's never going to be able to go back to him,
Mhm.
despite what she feels for him. She pretty much admits to herself that she has feelings for Peter. That's all been ruined. So she's kissing Gale because she can't have Peter. And
Mhm.
because she can't have Peter, she's going to go off and fight this war to the best that she can, probably die in the process. And then, because of all that, she can kiss Gale because it's not like she's going to have to live to face the consequences.
Yeah. I
I'm
need
sorry,
to
what?
I need to bring up something. Basically, it's a scene that makes me feel sick. So I don't know why I keep bringing up these scenes that I don't enjoy talking about, but I feel like we need to talk about.
We need to
Anyway,
talk about them, but you're just like,
uh-huh.
no.
Yeah, we've spoken about it before in our previous Victor episode. Obviously, when Peter suddenly shows up to sit at the lunch table in District 13 after he has been rescued from the capital, and he's already been in isolation for so long after trying to strangle Katniss. Peter is saying some horrible stuff because, hijacking and brainwashed and all that stuff. And Gale uses this moment to rile him up further when he is clearly a security and danger risk by kissing Katniss on the cheek. And obviously, Gale makes himself feel special by doing this. Because in Gale's mind, Peter has always had the priority over himself, but now the tables are turned. It's just really bad taste. You know what I mean?
It's
It's
so
just
bad.
it's very, very tone deaf. It's a complete misreading of the room. And if he has done it to rile him up, that's even worse because he is literally in active danger.
Yeah, he has his
Mhm.
like hands and wrists chained together for a whole reason, Gale.
Yeah.
Please don't antagonize him further, you absolute asshole, because that's not going
Mhm.
to end well for anyone, is it?
Mhm.
Um, and Gale has some so terrible and toxic opinions about hijacked Peter
Mhm.
too. It's so bad. I feel like I'm gonna one up, I feel like I'm gonna like make you feel even worse, make
Oh
you feel even
god.
more sick. Um,
Okay.
it's the way he tries to manipulate Katniss with these toxic opinions. It's
Mm.
disgusting. It's so bad. So like Katniss and Gale, like this is when they're like sat plucking like whatever they've caught. Um and Gale like brings up the fact that he saw Peter, and then Katniss goes like, "Well, what did you think?" And Gale just says like something selfish. So
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
Katniss thinks he's talking about the fact that Gale doesn't need to be jealous of Peter anymore because, like, at
Mm.
this point, like, everyone's thinking that they won't be able to return Peter back to normal, so he won't be in the running to win Katniss's heart or whatever.
Mm.
Like, and Gale's response then is something else. Like, yeah, that first comment would have been selfish, but no, Gale takes it one step further because, of course, he does,
Uh-huh.
because it's Gale. Um,
Uh-huh.
he turns around and he says, and I quote, "I'll never compete with that, no matter how much pain I'm in. I don't stand a chance if he doesn't get better. You'll never be able to let him go. You'll always feel wrong about being with me."
Oh my god,
Oh my
Gale.
God, Gale.
Oh my
What?
god, Gale. That's just the tagline for
And
this entire episode.
just genuinely, Gale, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he is right. That is a very, very selfish thing to say. That is
Yeah.
so much worse than any of us ever thought you would ever go. But
Mhm.
yet, he went there, and it's so
Mhm.
goddamn toxic. Like, no matter how much pain I'm in, you'll never be with me because the entire time you'll be thinking about him. And
Mhm.
like, he once again totally gives away his manipulation tactics again because why? Why would you want someone to be with you out of pity in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah.
Genuinely, like, because it's always going back to, no matter how much pain I'm in, you're gonna string it along further. You're like, you'll kiss me when I'm in pain, so I have to be in pain for you to be with me. But now,
Mm.
even if that works, you'll be thinking about Peter, and then that's never going to happen then because you're never going to truly be with me. Like,
Mhm.
Why would you want to manipulate someone into, do you not want them to truly love you to their very
Yeah.
core, to
Yeah.
be with you? What settling for manipulating someone to be with you or stay with you because of how bad you will feel when they leave is just toxic to
Yeah.
both them and you, Gale. What are
Yeah.
you doing to yourself at this point, Gale?
Yeah.
Please stop.
Yeah.
He doesn't love her. He doesn't. He's literally proving time and time again that he does not love her. If he loved her, he would want her to love him back. He is not
Yeah.
even asking for Katniss to love him back. This is about control. How do I manipulate you into being with me? Whether or not
Mhm.
you want to be with me is beside the
Mhm.
point. There's always
Mhm.
a caveat with Gale as well. There's always a way to manipulate her. There's always a, oh, well, I'll do this thing if you do that thing. Or, oh, well, I will be with you until this point. And now because this has happened, I won't unless you fix this thing. Like, Gale literally says, I love you until you want to save Peter's life. It's, I love you until you can't overlook the fact that I killed your sister, and then I'm done. Then I'm out.
We need to talk about the chat that Peter and Gale have in the Capitol too, when they're hiding in Tigress's like crawl space basement.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious to us that Katniss should be with Peter, but I think this moment really reassures that. Like Gale and Peter are practically arguing about who loves Katniss more, but not in the way that you would expect. Sorry, who Katniss loves more, but not in the way that you would expect. Like Peter tries to convince Gale that the kissing and the love was just for show because that issue is still going on. Like Peter himself still believes that Katniss loves Gale more than she loves him. And then Gale now realizes 3 books late that he should have volunteered for Peter to protect Katniss in the arena. Even though from all our previous discussions we have decided that he would have not done this at all and probably would have like actually let her die. And in this same conversation, this is when Gale says, Katniss will pick whoever she thinks she can't survive without. Oh my god, Gale. Like, Katniss will pick whoever she thinks she needs to survive. Like, I can totally understand why our girl on fire gets pissed at this comment. Like, that sounds awful, right? Like, it's really telling of Gale's personality and his view on love here. Like Katniss says how cold and unfeeling that this makes her sound, and that it comes down to what she needs. Like that the fact that Gale thinks it'll come down to what like she needs rather than what would break her heart, as if Gale doesn't think she has one.
It's so bad. It's so
Yeah,
bad.
no. And then Katniss remarks how she could survive perfectly fine without neither of them, but she's offended that no one refutes the comment. Like she realizes maybe something that Gale obviously doesn't realize or understand, that love is not about survival. Love is an active choice. It's a daily action and she can choose. Like it's not about survival, which I don't think Gale understands one bit.
I think in Gale's mind, love is something you like set and forget. Like he's totally one of those guys that stops trying. The second the ring goes on and he's won someone's heart, he'd be like, okay, cool. Well, you married me, you love me now. Wait on my hand and foot. Do you know what I mean? Like he's one of them. He's one of those guys who would never buy flowers, who would never surprise the missus with anything because to him, it's just like, okay, cool, you've picked me. That part's over. I don't need to do anything. And then finally, moving away from that before I have another rant again. Finally, before we move on, like, and this podcast, but this podcast, God, I can't
Podcast?
speak
That's
today.
new. I haven't heard of this before.
Before we move on, and this podcast gets a little bit less angry, Gale does volunteer to go into the Capitol on the mission to rescue Peeta, Annie, and Joanna. And I don't know what I think of this. What do we think of this? Like, why? Like, we know it's not for a noble reason. It's Gale, after all. He's not wanting to get Peeta back because that's the right thing to do, right? Is it like the fact that the mission is going ahead anyway, and then if he doesn't go, he'll look like a jealous prick to Katniss? Or Because obviously he's high up, he's a soldier, he had the communicuff, like he's been given a position of priority. If he doesn't volunteer to go, will he look like a douche? Is that why he goes? Is it glory for saying that he went into the capital on this dangerous rescue mission? Is it because he wants to give Katniss like what she wants to further this cause with her? Like, what is it? All three? What's the reason? We know it's not being nice.
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's the first thing being that, you know, he's a soldier, he has a lot of rage towards the capital, he's never been to the capital. I think if he had a mission to the capital, he'd be like, yeah, right, I'm gonna go. Like, they're basically kind of ticking something off his list, almost.
Regardless of who's involved, regardless of it being Peeta. It's just a
but then
bucket list thing for Gale.
I think there's layers to this. I think that's like a primary layer. And I think another layer is obviously what we mentioned already, where he says, you know, if Peeta doesn't get better, like, you'll never look at me, you'll never kind of move on, you'll like constantly feel bad when you're with me. I think that also relates to this as well, because I think he realizes, you know, if Peeta stays in the capital forever and is getting tortured, she's never going to move on. At least if I bring him back, we're one step closer to that. And then
there's like some semblance of closure for Katniss, so he has a better chance because she can close that chapter.
And I think kind of the third layer is this idea of, I don't want to look like a jealous prick and I will get some glory from the mission. I think it is like a combination of layers, which I think Katniss realizes, because when she, you know, obviously hears that they've gone off to this mission because she doesn't know about it until it's happening, she doesn't even ask. Then she knows who's put their name down. She knows it was him. She knows he's done it. So I think it's a combination, layers.
And every reason that we have listed is so self-serving. It is so for Gale's own good. It's never for anyone else's own good. Like even that thing with, oh well, it'll close the chapter with Peeta and Katniss, and then Gale has more of a chance because they're going to bring him back all damaged, or like we'll bring back his body and he won't like be in any fit state to be her partner, and then that's over and then we can move on. Like that's still for his benefit and not Katniss's.
Yeah,
God.
I think if he was thinking about this mission purely from the perspective of what was best for Katniss, what was best for Katniss and best for the people that they were rescuing were the District 13 soldiers who had been training since they were 13 years old. They were the best people to go in. They're the best people.
That's a whole other issue that they're 13 years that were trained from 13.
Yes, but like they're the best people for the job. It should have been people who were trained.
Gale has no active combat experience at all.
Yeah, like, until he goes in.
At least like I guess he has like District 8 or whatever, but then like that's it.
Wasn't actually combat experience. That was meant to be a proper that just turned bad.
It was meant to be a proper. You know what I mean? Yeah.
This is like
this is like aim a flying piece.
This is a capital heist in the heart of the capital to get prisoners from what they're being kept in the training center, right? Like from the heart of the training center. Like, he was not the best person, and I know they did it on a volunteer basis because it was so dangerous, but it should have been District 13 soldiers. It shouldn't have been Gale. And I think if he was thinking on perspective, what is best for Katniss, what is best for getting the victors back who have been captured, I think he should have gone, no, my space should go to a District 13 soldier. Because I think he then becomes like a liability. He doesn't really know what he's doing. Not really. In theory, maybe. I'm proud to.
The more you look at it, the worse it gets. Yeah. The more genuinely, the more you look at it, you're like, this is just getting worse. Worse.
Yeah.
Gale, bow out. Just leave the race now. Just honestly, wave your little white flag and remove yourself from the situation. And maybe, mate, if you'd done that, Prim won't be dead. Just saying.
Oh.
Just saying.
Ouch. Ouch. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
It got a little spicy. And now we get to talk about our lovely Peeta. The pure soul that he is. Which is good, because I'm getting a bit fed up with Gale.
Exactly. Like, he is so pure and so lovely and just like the right move, I think, for Katniss all around, because even when Peeta is being tortured by the capital, hijacked within like an inch of his life and made to hate Katniss, he still tries to keep her alive by saying on the interviews that Katniss must not know what she's doing. So, like, regardless of who wins or loses this war, like, he's still trying to keep her safe. Bless him.
It's just so cute. Like he's and like I wonder, do you know when you get cute aggression when it's just like you want to just like squeeze someone's cheeks?
Yeah.
That's their face cheeks. I should clarify their face cheeks. I'm just like squeezing something in midair.
Uh-huh.
That only makes sense if you're on video.
Uh-huh.
I also like, I wonder if he knew Katniss like that well
Mm.
that he was able to like pass these messages on to her because right. He's being very, very obvious about the Capitol's treatment of him in the first interview.
Mm.
And like he knew that if he made a point of the Capitol like locking him up and treating him like a prisoner, like he knew Katniss would see through that to like what was really like going on and do what was right. Like
Mm.
I don't think Peeta genuinely ever wanted Katniss to stop working with the rebels, like to turn her back on like the Mockingjay role or anything. Like these interviews were like pre-Katnisside Peeta, right? He's not trying
Right.
to kill her at this point. Like, he's not that
Yeah.
angry with her yet.
Yeah.
Like, I think he plays a very, very good game here with all of this. Like, and he walks this like very, very fine line between telling Katniss what is happening to him and then saying what the Capitol wants him to say and trying to protect Katniss in that way. It's kind of like beautiful, like, and really, really well played. Because yeah, it might take some time for her to like get a head around it, and it takes some like nudging from outside sources to like really get her to like clock on, because like she's had a concussion, she's still wearing her like a mentally disoriented wristband at this point,
Mm-hmm.
but she does get there in the end. Like she realizes that the one way forward to combat what Peter's going through is to become the Mockingjay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of do think, maybe it's just my own little theory, but I kind of think Peeta knows her that well that he can walk this fine line and still, I'm not going to say like influence or manipulate, but he can pass the message on to Katniss, do what she wants to do with that information. Like he can still communicate to her without having to directly say the words. This is like, at least this is before the hijacking takes place.
Yeah, and even after, like, I'm really glad that Katniss could see past that version of Peter when he was first captured and when he was, like, learning how to, like, navigate his mind again, because the Capitol really did make him horrible for a while. Like,
Yeah.
Peter at one point calls Katniss, like, a piece of work and says that she's not even that pretty. Like, it's heartbreaking, and it hits me so hard because it's like she was, like, falling in love with this boy, and he was everything and so pure, and the torture just made him into, like, you know, what is a horrible person for a while. Like,
Yeah.
he was ripped out from underneath her, and that's just so painful for Katniss.
Yeah. Like, and she says, like, now that he's been taken away from her and, like, corrupted, like, she can truly appreciate who Peter was and all the qualities Peter had and, like, what he was. Like, she took him for granted. And she feels like the loss of that even more than if he died. Because everything that made Peter Peter has now gone. It's been taken away from her, and it's still hard for her to not treat him as badly as he treated her when he first arrived in 13. Like, we can't forget how Haymitch, like, had to tell her off, basically. And the squad looked at her like she was heartless, because when he got assigned to the Star Squad, she was quite cruel to him as well, and she was treating him like he treated her and thinking he was literally now the Capitol's weapon and nothing else. But like, she's hurt. Yeah, it's not his fault that he's like that and any of that, but she let him in. Katniss, who was always like against being with anyone, loving anyone, against all her reservations, she let him into her heart, and then he was taken away from her in the cruelest way possible. Like, his very being was corrupted, and that hurts. Like, it makes sense for her to hold that against him a little bit too.
Yeah.
Because he's always been like rock steady to her. And I can see how she might be mad at him for wrongly, but like you can see how she got there for him being mad at her for not being strong enough to withstand that corruption, for not staying her rock, for allowing the Capitol to corrupt him in that way. Because let's face it, Gale isn't strong and steady for her. She can't trust him not to go and blow some people up because his violence is like spilling out of him uncontrollably.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you turn, he's now not threatening to kill people, he is killing people. Like, Haymitch has lied to her so many times, and they might be good at this point, but it still takes time to build that trust back up again. She barely sees her mother or Prim. She lives in a compartment with Joanna, but Joanna and her are still a bit turbulent. They don't know a lot about each other yet. Peter's now ripped away from her and then brought back. Hallelujah, like she's got her rock back. She's happy. She runs to see him. Can't wait to see him. Someone she can completely rely on. He's back. He's here. The guy she loves. And then, no, he's now a danger too. And that must hurt.
I know. Because the relationship that these two have is so special. And I keep coming back to when Katniss is spiraling in the Capitol siege because a lot of people are dead. And Peter pipes up with... Again, what he's been saying before, you still don't realize the effect that you can have. And it pulls Katniss back into reality. It pulls her out of that spiral, back into her body, you know, with her feet back on the ground. And his voice seems to reach her when nobody else can. And I think that's just really sweet and really powerful.
That
and
is
makes
really
me,
sweet. Yeah. You're going to cry again.
Yeah, that's fine. Carry on.
I can't carry on.
Oh, God.
There we go. That's better. You know, you can just sort of like feel your throat clogging up. That's my own fault. I had spicy food for lunch. But like this idea with like Katniss and Peeta, and like Peeta bringing Katniss back, it works the other way around as well. So like, don't forget, Peeta goes into a spiral and decides that she doesn't really know any other way to snap him out of it. This is like he's like trying to hold himself in check because he's being triggered, and she decides that kissing him probably the best thing she can do. Like, it's a long shot, might kill her, but she needs to do something. Has no other options. Like, if he can't bring himself back from this spiral, he's gonna go mental anyway. So she kisses him, and his whole body starts like shuddering. So it's obviously having some like impact on whatever's going on in him mentally. And she grabs his hand and she asks him not to let the Capitol take him away from her. And I really want to make an important distinction here about what Peeta has been hijacked to believe. Because Peeta is convinced that Katniss is a mutt.
Yeah.
Which means he hasn't been convinced that Katniss, human Katniss, real Katniss is evil, doesn't love him, or is a danger to everyone.
Yeah.
He's been taught that Katniss isn't really Katniss. An imposter Katniss, if you will. So my question then, was it easier to convince Peeta that there were two Katnisses, like a real one that we will presume that he's been told is dead? Like, has he been told Katniss is dead? And a fake one is now acting against him, against the Capitol, and they're trying to brainwash him to be pro-Capitol. Like, because that would say something really, really powerful about his feelings for Katniss. If those feelings for Katniss can't be corrupted into turning Peeta against the real Katniss. And this then makes his first interviews make sense.
Okay.
Because the logistics of these interviews bothered me for a long, long time. Because why? Why would you let Peeta on camera if in the Capitol you aren't convinced that he was entirely within your control? Because you're broadcasting this to the nation. You're wanting to have some sort of sway with this. If you can't rely on Peeta to say what you want him to say, why would you put him on camera? And if that's the case, like why did he then go from protecting Katniss to trying to kill Katniss? Like, how did we get from point A to point B here? And I think the answer I've come up with for this is that Peter's also playing a game with the Capitol. I think at this point, they are trying to turn him against the real Katniss at first.
Okay.
And it's obvious that it isn't working. I think he actually spurs Katniss into becoming the Mockingjay in the first interview. And the second interview has like the thinly veiled watch your back thing. Then by the third televised thing, they've changed tactic. Because Peter's messages aren't being put across the way they're meant to. The way the Capitol planned in the first place, he's not doing his job. It's becoming obvious, like whatever they're doing to Peeta isn't having like much effect. So I think he's like successfully like convincing the Capitol off camera that he's on their side, gets on camera, and then gets to like play out what he wants. So I think that they're trying to say your Katniss is not what you think. The real Katniss is not what you think. And that ain't working, clearly. So I think then they change tactics. I think they then switch it up into the Katniss is a mutt hijacking idea, which is probably more effective because it leans more readily into what Peeta already thinks of the Capitol. And Katniss isn't the danger. Peeta has direct experience with real Katniss.
Yeah.
He can see through those lies a lot easier, those hallucinations, those things that aren't real, a lot simpler. Whereas a mutt who looks like Katniss, who is indistinguishable, he has no experience with that, it's a lot easier to believe all that stuff instead. So then he gets told that Katniss isn't the danger. Katniss is dead. The mutt that looks like Katniss is instead the danger. And that's just so much easier to convince him of. But he fights through whatever they're trying to do here to get that warning about like the incoming attack of 13.
Yeah.
Out to the masses. He then saves Katniss's life by doing that, even though at this point they have mostly convinced him she's the mutt. He had to fight to get that out a lot more. Like Katniss says, he seems to be waging some sort of battle in his mind. She can see him fighting to get the message out. So he's obviously got more internalized trauma, so they've obviously done a lot more to him by this point. So when he warns them, he goes back into the hijacked torture machine and then gets wrapped up in the pretty little boy for Katniss after that. Because they attack, they're in lockdown for a couple days, and then it's not much longer after they come out of lockdown in 13 that they get sent in to try and rescue Peeta. Because Katniss can't perform anymore as the Mockingjay because she knows what's happening and how it's working. It's only days later that he's then rescued. So each time, Peeta's convinced them that they have been beaten down, successfully turned him against the Capitol, for him to then pull a 180 and put him back in like a slightly updated torture method each time that he sort of defies them. That's my theory, at least, because otherwise, like, why would you put him on TV? If he's not convincing you that he can do the job, why are you putting him on TV? Because Peeta might have status as Katniss's partner, as being close to the Mockingjay, but he's only useful to push the Capitol's message, like, when he is entirely on board with the Capitol. Like, no Peeta is better than a half-assed Peeta in this situation. 100%. I don't know what you think of that theory.
I hadn't even thought about it from that perspective, but now I'm sat here and I'm thinking about it and I'm hearing you talk about it and I'm like, it just makes it so much more horrific. Because it's not like he's being mentally tortured, he's being physically tortured, and he's also kind of mentally torturing himself by having to pretend and convince and then warn and then back to pretending and convincing and then warning, and then there's only so many times you can play that method before the people who are torturing you are going to be like, we need a bigger thing. And I guess that's when they bring out the thing that actually works, and he gets lost in his own head, and that's incredibly sad.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But then he's protecting Katniss all the way through this as well. I think one of the dangers with Peeta is that unless you really start into subtext, and it's part of where I think some of the Gale girlies come from, is because Peeta can, through a very sort of warped view, he can also be seen as quite non-confrontational, quite simple in terms of like what he wants. He just wants a quiet life. He'll go along with whatever. So if you don't take into the idea of all this torture and how we got to this level of hijacking, because I don't think creating a whole like fictional mutt it's a bit out there in terms of things you're trying to convince people of. Like, it's a whole like complex conspiracy. Yes, the Capitol would do it, but that's kind of not the point. It's not it's so much easier to jump to this person isn't who you think they are, as opposed to there's an evil twin.
Yeah, but they've done.
How many times have you
we know it's feasible. I'm not going to jump forward to the other books yet. It's a bad idea, but we know it's feasible.
It's still a like bit of a stretch to jump immediately to that and not a worst case scenario. But I think like if you take away the torture, you take away the hijacking, you take away the psychological stuff, you can view Peeta as just going along with the flow and not really having much, what's the word I'm looking for? Like innovation, having much like, my brain does not like some words some days. There's too much going on in it these days to actually think of the word I'm looking for. But like he won't do anything off his own back, is what I'm trying to say. He won't come up with his own plans. Initiative, as if like Peeta doesn't have his own initiative. And I think that's not the case. I think Peeta's just a lot quieter about it. And that's how him protecting Katniss is not something he's told to do. Him convincing the Capitol that he is able to go on camera and be in line with what they're thinking. That's not something he's been told to do by the rebel conspiracies. That's him. That's him wanting to protect her. And then even when he's back with her, even when he's fighting, he's coming down from the Katniss is a mock conspiracy theory. When they're like planning like how on earth they're going to kill Snow, he protects Katniss yet again. And at this point, this is where I'm going to get back into Gale, unfortunately, because Peeta protects Katniss from Gale, from herself as well, but also from Gale, because they're trying to think of a way to lure Snow to them, because obviously Katniss will not get very far at all. She can't just march into his mansion and ask for him to assassinate him. That ain't going to happen. So Katniss comes up with a suggestion. She says, what happens if she gets herself captured? Snow would probably leave his mansion to like hold a public execution, and he'd want to see that in person. So he would leave his mansion to come out and watch her be executed. Now, Peeta immediately points out that is far too risky, because what happens if Snow decides that he wants to torture Katniss instead of executing her, try and get information out of her because she's the Mockingjay? Or what if he decides, he'll execute her, but it's too risky for him to be there in person? So he doesn't, and he watches it on TV and then just orders it from a different protected place. Or what happens if he kills her privately and then like hangs her body out the front of the mansion instead? Rather than a whole public execution. So like Peeta lists like all these things that could go wrong. Goes, nah, mate, not happening. No way, Jose. This is not a good idea. And then Katniss turns to Gale and asks his opinion, and Gale just says, it seems a pretty extreme solution to jump to immediately. Maybe if all else fails, let's keep thinking. There, right there. Snor's death is worth more to Gale than Katniss's life. Gale basically says, if we can't come up with anything else that works, we'll do that. Peeta goes, no way, not happening. And he's still half brainwashed. He's still like having to fight a daily battle in his own brain to ground himself in the reality. Half hijacked Peeta cares more for Katniss than totally normal Gale. How messed up is that?
Yeah, I think because we know Gale is a soldier. We know he's angry. We know he'll want to get the job done.
Yeah.
And I guess he is like, well, if that's our only option, you might have to do that. And then
whereas like it needs to be, and if Beatty was there as well, because we know Beatty's more about numbers and probabilities, the chances of all the things that could go wrong, one girl, one Katniss, one Mockingjay against Snore, all his peacekeepers, all this kind of stuff, what happens if they win? Seeing the Mockingjay die would turn the tide on his war immediately. How many rebels would then get slaughtered because it is now possible to put them off their game enough that it could happen? Like, it could be like the thing that happens right before the end that becomes a whole plot twist that means Capitol wins, right? And if we say there is a 10% chance Katniss succeeds and a 90% chance she dies, Peeta's like, nope. No way. That's too risky. The chance of succeeding with this plan is not worth it.
Gale sees... the odds aren't in her favour. Again.
Good God. Yeah, the odds aren't in her favour.
Keeps happening.
And Gale's like, the odds aren't in her favour, but there is some odds that she might win. It's the biggest long shot in the whole last world.
Oh,
but,
wasn't that his opinion when she went into the game?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Nothing changes with him. He does not evolve as a character.
Yeah.
He just gets more freedom to explore all his dangerous little ideas. So yeah, Gale would literally see her die because she tried to kill. Because then he could turn her into a martyr. Whereas Peter's like, I'd rather you be alive. And he still half believes she's a muck. So the more you look at it, the worse it gets.
Okay, so skipping over Prim's death, because I cannot cry again. Katniss kills Coin, escapes punishment, and gets shipped home to 12, which is not really a punishment at all. And she's pretty much there alone with Haymitch and Greasy Say. And then Peeta arrives home. They wouldn't let him leave the capital until he got the all clear medically, but he's clearly been itching to get back to Katniss. And when he returns, one of the first thing he does is go into the woods and get a primrose plant to honour Katniss's sister, and plants it in her garden, and that makes me want to weep. Although I said I couldn't cry again.
You're like, I'm not going to cry over a death, but I'm going to cry over this very, very sweet thing that Peeta does to honour it. It is so cute.
And obviously, up until this point, Katniss has really not been looking after herself at all, has been very depressed, obviously, with Prim dying, and then her mum not coming back with her.
Yeah.
And so Greasy Say's making her food, and I don't think she would eat if Greasy Say wasn't making her food.
Probably not, no.
But this one action of Peeta coming back and planting the primrose, this very simple thing, pushes her to have a shower and get herself back to quote unquote normal, leaving the house, going to the woods, speaking to people. And mind, she doesn't make it very far, and someone has to wheel her back on the back of a horse trolley pulley thing. But this is when she starts to pull herself out of her depression. And I think that says a hell of a lot. We would all be so lucky to have a Peeta Malark in our lives. Really would.
We would. He's an absolute gem. And at this point, they're just friends as well. There's nothing going on romantically with them at all. It doesn't happen for a long time after this point either. Nothing brews anywhere near. But guess what? They all went through hell and back and need time to process things before anyone else jumps into any relationships or seeks comfort in someone else. Katniss actually has a chance to breathe now and grieve and focus on herself and what she wants and what she will make of her life, because now she actually has one and knows she will live past the next day, the next week, the next month. She knows that she has a future. She did not expect to get one. She thought that she would die trying to kill Snow, and then for certain she thought they would execute her for killing Coin.
Yeah.
And then she basically gets given a clean slate, but has a hell of a lot of baggage to work through because, like you say, her sister's died, sister's been killed, Gale's no longer there. He's partly responsible for it as someone that she trusted with her life was Gale. Her mum doesn't come back with her.
Yeah.
She's been with that Peeta for so long. She's literally just had Haymitch and Greasy Say for the last however long weeks, months. And she has a lot to process. And now she can process it before moving forward because Gale's not there. He's not there to demand an answer immediately, which we know damn well he would have done if he'd gone back to 12. If Gale had gone back to 12 before Peeta got there, he would have been sort of hounding Katniss to get with him because Peeta wasn't there, and Peeta wouldn't care enough about her to be there because he's not there right now, even though we all know that would be bullshit.
Gale goes to live in District 2 instead, which honestly, good riddance, goodbye.
Yeah, he deserves it. He can stay there.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is that Gale stops fighting for Katniss after Prim's death as well.
Yeah.
He gives up. It's good that he gave up, don't get me wrong, because for Katniss's sake, that was the best thing to do. But I am still pissed at him for dragging it out for as long as he did, for him to just give up. And prove that all the hell that he put Katniss and Peeta through, making it so much harder for them to work on their own issues between each other, just sticking his oar in every time. He then drops Katniss like a hot potato once he's helped win the war. Doesn't apologise for Prim's death, doesn't offer any sort of like, I'm sorry for your loss. There is no like, if that was my bomb, I'm so sorry, I never should have made it. That doesn't happen. He basically just goes, you're never going to see past this, are you? See ya. Nah, not into that. Good. Like,
Yeah,
Gale,
like,
true
yeah.
colours right there. You were always better off with Peeta, Katniss.
I think that was definitely the right thing for him to do. I mean, I think it's very telling of his behavior to do something that was like awful. And
Yeah.
like, I think he knew if he did stay, it would take a lot of effort for Katniss to trust him again and not see him like that again. But if he really loved her, like, he would have stayed and tried to figure it out. So I think him dropping her, being like, oh yeah, it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm annoyed at you because you're not going to see past the thing that I did to hurt you.
Yeah.
I'm off.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Yeah.
And
horrible.
I think another important kind of thing I want to bring into this discussion is that Katniss literally says at the end of Mockingjay that she doesn't need another fire like Gale in her life. She has enough of her own fire. Like, she actually needs Peter's kindness and his calm, his steadiness and security and hope for the future, that no matter how bad things get, basically life can go on. That's what Peeta gives her. They complement each other. They make each other better. They can grow together. Like we've mentioned before in previous episodes that Katniss and Gale together would have been so unhealthy and just like a toxic nightmare. But let's be honest, we've all made the mistake of going for a Gale before, but it is not sustainable long term.
Yeah, I've fancied a Gale before. I've fancied someone who only cares about what they can get out of you and their own feelings rather than what they're doing to yours. Been there, done that. Not worth it. You see a Gale, guys, you run a mile. Opposite direction, you go.
Run.
No, we don't put ourselves through that.
If this podcast teaches you absolutely anything in the chaos, which is these episodes, please just value yourself.
Please just run. Yeah, just go. Not worth it. He's never gonna change.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. But you've brought up an important point. What do we think Katniss's future would have looked like if she had chose Gale? Like, would they have had kids together, for example? Because the thing that annoyed me, and I have teased this throughout the podcast, the thing that annoyed me the most when I first read these books is how, like, after Coin's murder, the final chapters just kind of felt like a bit of a whirlwind of locations and events, and it kind of just fell over too quickly. There was no like come down, no like cathartic, like it all ends well in the end kind of thing, which is kind of what I was expecting of books when I was about 16, just when I read this. And I wanted it to go on longer. I wanted to see more of like how we got to a level of stability. And obviously Gale just vanishes and then the kids aren't named. And that really irritated me. I'm like, why haven't you named these kids? But like now my adult brain, and I have had this rant at age like 17, 18, I have had this rant to people about the ending of the Hunger Games. And now my adult brain gets it. I finally understand, because the aftermath feels like a whirlwind, because it is, and the rest of life just does, because that is what grief does to your brain. The days are blurring together as you try and like find a new normal. There's nothing to demarcate the passage of time, especially while like Katniss is locked up after killing Coin. She's in one room, all the days blur. And then Katniss not naming her kids was my biggest thing that irritated me through the whole thing. It shows how scared and how scarred she still is. And she talks about openly like how worried she was when she gave birth to them. And like they're now their own human beings that are external to her. At least when she was pregnant, like she could protect them. And now they are human beings who can be taken away and have their own autonomy, and she can't protect them the same way that she wants to. She loves them, but she's still so scared to lose them because she can't trust the peace. There is no stability after this. It is never going to get to a happily ever after when you have gone through this level of trauma. There's always more work to be done. There's always lessons to learn. And she has named the kids, let's be honest, but she wants to be secretive as all hell about their names. And do you know why? Because if no one knows their names, they can't be reaped.
I was literally about to say this, but you're beating me to the point. Yeah.
If they don't know their names, they can't be
Uh-huh.
reaped.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what she's scared of happening again. She's scared of seeing her kids be Prim, seeing her kids be her, volunteering on behalf of the other. They wouldn't be able to, the boy and a girl. But, like, their names can't be called if no one knows them. And Peeta helps her through all of this, right? She has kids because Peeta wanted them so badly with her, which is adorable. That is so cute. Like, he wants little Katnisses running around. And he's her greatest support through all of this. But she is still terrified. Katniss never wanted to get married or have kids because of the regime she lived in, because of the Capitol. The Capitol's gone. She is now allowed to want this. She can let herself want this. She does have this. But that still doesn't mean that those feelings of terror go away. And Peeta helps her through this. What would Gale's response have been? Gale wouldn't know why she's so scared. Gale would be like, well, they're fine. We won. It's right. Stop being a silly little woman and calm down, pretty much.
I mean, even before they won, when they, like, we go back, like, right to the first book and they're talking about futures, and she's just kind of like, you know, I never want to have kids. Like, I don't want to have kids. I want to be reaped. And Gale's like, oh, no, I want kids and all this and all that and settle down and all this sort of stuff. I feel like even then he didn't understand. And then there was a risk. Like, the risk was huge. It was obvious. Like, it was right there in front of their faces. Like, the reapings were happening every year. Kids were dying. And I think once they had one and there wasn't the Hunger Games anymore, they weren't reaping, I think he would understand even less, which is saying something because he really didn't even understand before. So
yeah, I think he would have been a brute force kind of therapy guy to be like, well, I don't get what you're bothered about. It's fine. Just do it. Like, this is what we're meant to do. This is biology. No, I'm not wrapping it up. Like, he'd be one of them. Let's be honest. He'd be one of them.
I thought we've already established they don't have contraception in Panem. That was episode 1, Rachel.
But that was episode 1. However, they don't have contraceptives in Panem because I think they were outlawed because of the workforce. You wouldn't need them. However, I'm assuming in the Capitol it possibly was a thing.
Maybe.
So now the Capitol is run by Paler. We in my head, in my canon, they are now distributing free healthcare. You can now walk into your local health clinic. Because let's be honest, like, they've got a train that delivers alcohol now. I would also think they'd deliver, like, medical supplies and essentials. And what do we know about condoms? They are essentials, clearly, because I'm pretty sure they were tax-free when tampons weren't.
Yeah.
So,
that's bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after that very long discussion, thanks so much for listening, guys. I know this was a long discussion. We've got to the verdict of this episode, which is, am I the arsehole for following my heart? Or the other question could also alternatively be, am I the arsehole for taking so long to get to this point? What do we think, Rachel?
I don't think she's the asshole for following her heart and choosing Peeta, because that is the correct move.
Yes.
That is where you should always have been.
Yes.
Am I the asshole for taking so long to get to this point? I think girl was going through some hell.
Yes.
Multiple times over. But did you have to keep kissing Gale?
That's literally the sticking point. I keep coming back in my head. I'm like, yeah, like she wasn't an arsehole. She did the right thing. But I'm like, yeah, but she kept kissing Gale. So I'm like, is she like 5%, 10%? But then I'm like, yeah, but Gale was really manipulative. Like, he was manipulating her emotionally to get these kisses. So then I'm like, well, is she really the arsehole then? Because she was manipulated, but then she is also her own person.
And then we've also pointed out before how, like, Gale is a massive red flag. However, she has no training in spotting red flags. The entire country is a red flag. Therefore, Gale is pretty minimal in comparison. I do think 10% arsehole. I do think, I don't know. I kind of feel like it should have just been a Gale, knock it off. Because at one point she says she does love Peeta. At one point she went, despite what I feel for Peeta, he's never coming back to me. So I can kiss Gale because I'm going to go off and die. Is effectively like what she says. So at that point, like, you've admitted you have feelings for Peeta. You're only kissing Gale because it's your last chance to, and you're still a bit like, I don't know what to do with that. So if you've already admitted that you're like, maybe just don't kiss Gale.
So yeah, so we're in agreement. She's like a 10%
10% arsehole for lip locking with the idiot. Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what everyone listening also thinks, because I know it's like this is quite a big topic kind of around the Hunger Games, and people kind of talking about who they think she should have picked and did she make the right decision and all this. I know everyone has their own opinions, so let us know because I'm intrigued. I want to know what people think.
You always want to know what people think. So honestly, like some of these comments that we get, I know you now have access and you replied to comments about, aren't they fascinating?
Yeah.
It's like the way that our lovely audience, you lovely guys, like actually engage with our theories and comments is beautiful. I love it. Keep them coming. It is so much fun.
Well, we might have finished Mockingjay, but our Hunger Games season is not yet over. We still need to dive into Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and one of my favourite, Sunrise on the Reaping. So, Rachel, who are you most looking forward to calling an asshole?
I'm looking ahead to Ballad more than Sunrise at the minute, mainly because I'm rereading Ballad again to make all these notes in the first place, but also because they're all assholes and I have so much to go off of. Dr. Gale. Yeah. I really, really want to dive into Dr. Gale and all her mutts and her toxicity, and I'm so looking forward to calling her an asshole. Yeah.
She's terrifying.
She's scary.
I'm really looking forward to discussing Sejanus. I know it might be a controversial one, but I'm looking forward to discussing kind of the mental kind of load of what it must have felt like to go from District 2 to the capital, because not many people obviously do that, and how his kind of morals do put a ton of people in danger. And they like capital people, and some of them are like other people's district tributes, but it does really, it's dangerous almost the way that he's behaving sometimes. I do agree with his morals, but it's dangerous.
I feel like Sejanus is the Gale of that book, but less assholey and more just reckless. Do you know what I mean? Like
reckless.
He has
maybe a bit naive.
Yeah, it's very much like a case of I can see where he's coming from with a lot of his opinions, and he's got the right opinions. However, the way he goes about expressing some of them
gets people killed.
Almost gets himself killed. Does get him killed, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
So, like, really, what did you accomplish? I'm not gonna lie to you. What did you accomplish?
Anyway, save that for the episode that we will be filming
so
soon to release.
But I do have another question.
Okay.
So you've given me a question this time. I've got a question for you, because I think it is the last time I can ask it. Greasy Say is no longer a character in any of our books. There might be a right answer to this question. However, I haven't Googled it because I think that would make things too simple, and I want to have a discussion. How did Greasy Say get her name? No one ever calls her just Say. So is it like Lucy Greybeard and someone named their child first name Greasy, middle name Say, which is a bit weird. Greasy, not. It's a bit different than Cashmere and Gloss, isn't it? Or is she just called Say, and Greasy Say is a nickname because she herself is greasy? Like, I know she makes soup all the time. Is it the olive oil? Like, has no one given her any soap? Is Greasy Say greasy? I need to know the answer.
I imagine the name Greasy Say came from the cooking, right? Or the cooking that she does.
I hope so.
I imagine that's what I imagine she's not physically greasy. But
that's what my head thinks.
Yeah,
every time I hear the name Greasy Say, I'm just like, in my head, she's got like unwashed hair and like she bathes in olive oil. I don't know. It paints a picture. It paints a picture in my very literal brain of Greasy Say being a little bit like, you know, Matilda. when the cook comes out and she's like covered in kitchen grease and she's like blood, sweat, and like my sweat and tears and blood, and she sort of like licks herself like that. That's what I picture Greasy Say as a nice version of the really horrible school cook in Matilda. That's what my brain does. And I need that fixing. Someone tell me, please. Is Greasy Say greasy?
I don't imagine her like that. But if anybody has an opinion, please let us know, because that is just a horrible image I now have in my head. Thanks, Rachel. And anyway, after that long episode and our last episode of the main trilogy for the Hunger Games,
how are you feeling about that?
Insane. It's just absolutely insane.
Mental.
Yeah, this started as just a thought in our brains like a year and a half ago, and now we are here finishing off the main trilogy of Hunger Games episodes. And I really hope everyone's enjoying listening to this as much as we are. Obviously, if you have any recommendations for future seasons, I know this one's not fully over. We're still going into all the prequels. We're going to be here for a while on the Hunger Games.
We will be here for a while.
Any recommendations, greatly appreciated. We always just love something to read as well. If you have recommendations.
Keep giving the Rex coming.
Yeah, so thanks so much, guys. And next week, Rachel, we are jumping into Ballad, aren't we, of Songbirds and Snakes?
We are jumping into Ballad.
Snow,
even as a child, being an all-around toxic asshole. We are changing things up a little bit from this point onwards, because we are aware that these episodes get really, really long.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever anticipated them to be this long as they are. I think we were like, yeah, half an hour to an hour, that'll be fine. And then it comes to edit and they're like 2 hours long the majority of the time. And we realised this is a lot to commit to for a lot of people. So I think going forward, we'll be breaking them into 2 parts. We'll have like a preliminary arsehole verdict, and then we'll maybe change our minds by the end, depending on what other I guess, reasoning we come up with, which should make them less of a commitment. Should also make some of them a little bit less heavy as well, because 2 hours of us talking about the moral dilemmas of District 12 is very, very heavy. It's a lot easier to sit through an hour of that than it is 2. Yeah. So hopefully the more enjoyable going forward as well.
Episodes moving forward probably be like 45 minutes, an hour.
You say this now, and then we'll literally be like 2 hours long each part. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen, but it might. It might.
We'll see. But yeah, so moving forward, you will get the episode questions split into 2. As always, we release on Wednesdays. You'll get them every Wednesday. And thanks so much. We look forward to having you guys listen to us ramble next time.
And if you haven't read the prequels yet, go read them now. Here's your chance. You've got a week to read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Go. Nearest bookshop, go buy.
Okay. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to our podcast, and don't forget to let us know your thoughts on all of our potential assholes.
No matter what platform you're listening to us on, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, upvote and all of that stuff.
If you like what we do and want to find out more, all of our platforms are listed in the description or show notes. We're a 2-person team, so any support or feedback is always greatly received.
Tune in next time to Once Upon a Red Flag.
He was not the best person, and I know they did it on a volunteer basis because it was so dangerous, but it should have been District 13 soldiers. It shouldn't have been Gale. And I think if he was thinking of perspective, what is best for Katniss, what is best, I think he should have gone, no, my space should go to a District 13 soldier.